WrestleMania. I'll be there when he surprised me for my first WrestleMania.
Yeah, I surprised you at the TLC 2013 pay-per-view. That was in Houston at the Toyota Center.
That was a good one because I got to see kids cry.
I figured I would continue to play it. Hold on, let me make sure I get this. All right, I'm trying to try it with two phones. And let me see. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So is the audio working? Because I'm doing it from a different phone. So I wanted to make sure. Everything's good. The reason I'm trying to do it from a different phone is so that I can do this. Yeah, it worked. All right. Good morning. Morning. It's noon. It's lunchtime. But yeah, I get it. You're a little bit more on the western side of the United States than I am. Get off my head. Everybody saying hello to everybody. Hey, Chop's in the chat. What's up, Chop? Man alive, guys. So, Boyd, I appreciate that. I'm trying to not have to use this, but if I do it like that, I constantly look down. So let me just make sure. What I said, David, Trev, Chop in the chat, Boyd here. Oh man, Mike is here. Hey, Trev, David, orangutan nips. Yeah. So I was I was looking for a good picture of an orangutan, but the proper picture, just not a regular picture of an orangutan. But I wanted extraordinary nips on the orangutan, so I could put that on Instagram. But I couldn't find I couldn't find something I enjoyed. So what a crazy Saturday morning stretch. Oh, it's 10 a.m. That's crazy. You guys are 2 hours behind us. Wow. No, dude, don't be kidding, man. Bust balls, dude. Bust balls all day. I have no issue with it. I thought it was hilarious. That whole stream from Nips to the boy bands. I don't know where Lady Prime got that question from. I think she said she had seen something on Instagram that triggered her, and she said that I'm going to do that when he's ready to give away comics. So, fantastic. Everybody telling everybody hello. There we go. Okay, I'm listening at work, so keep it in. Oh man, now the pressure's on. Oh, you'll find just the right one. Well, fantastic. Nips. We may have to create a Nips shirt just for this stream, or for the channel. And Mike, proper comment on the Instagram post where I did the little video clip of Lady Prime giving me the chop. That's actually we filmed 3 videos Saturday. No, two, and then we had to add a little clip to one of the ones we filmed last Saturday. And I was just ragging on her. I'm not gonna tell you guys what I said. I'll save it for the video if it comes out. And so she chopped me. I think she chopped me 3 times that day. And so yeah. See, David, you understand. Like, that show was built on Aniston and Courtney Cox. The headlights, the high beams were on 24/7. You could even throw in Lisa Kudrow at times, but it was mainly the Cox Aniston headlight show. Mike said to keep it interesting, and I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about today because I just went live for a hangout. So, so far, tearing down a 14-foot wall. People looking at me. All right. Well, I guess we're already doing pretty good. Lady Prime in the chat already calling me a clown. Do we have mods? I forgot to go add mods, but if you guys can mod, let's just block Lady Prime. Let's kick her out of the chat. Kidding. Let's see. My wife watches it all day while she works. Mr. Magoo could see those sniffs. We don't usually use Mr. Magoo in my circle. Anytime we anytime we make a joke like that, we say even Ray Charles can see, and or Stevie Wonder. So maybe I'm in the wrong for that. Maybe that's insensitive. Fantastic Comics and Arts. What is up, sir? So one of the videos we filmed this past week or this past weekend. Oh, let's see. Why? Because you forgot about. No, I didn't forget about Mother's Day. I just we had a sick kid, and we went out of town Friday. So, and besides, everything that was on sale for Mother's Day is on clearance today. So I'll get you something, babe. I'll get you something. L to the P in the hizzy, man alive. So one of the videos we filmed Saturday was the top 5 favorite covers that 22 Comics had laid that challenge down. And so I wanted to make it a family affair. We got Lady Prime in it. My hope was to have Ollie in it. We didn't film it last weekend like I had planned on it, so we did it this past weekend. But Ollie was feeling sick. He didn't want to really be on camera. But I told him, let's see, Lady Primes, we'll come back to that. But I told him to pick out your favorite books, and I'll show your 5 favorite covers. And so he was laying there. He's like, okay, Dad. So I would hold up a book, and he's like, yeah, I'll put it in the pile, put it in the pile. And so for his top 5 favorite covers, he wound up with 13. And all you guys can relate. You try to limit your favorite covers down to a certain number, and it's going to be higher than that. So Lady Prime had to get him to close his eyes and to name the first 5 books that came to his head. And so we got all these picks in there. I will either release that video later today or tomorrow. Yeah, really, for real. Okay, let's go. Let's go back here. Okay, just making sure. I don't want to skip anyone's comment. If it's you guys telling each other hi, I'm going to avoid that just because I'm not on the laptop, and so I'm trying to eliminate movement. But Lady Prime says, "I don't want flowers. I will throw them at you." See, guys, this is the kind of relationship we have. No wedding ring. Never gave her an engagement ring. No, nothing like that. As long as I gave her a wrestling ring. So I finally took her to WrestleMania in 2014, 3 years after we were married. She don't want flowers. She'll throw them at me. But I get her plants. I get her succulents because they're harder to kill. So, yes, top 13. He was adamant that all 13 books were in his top 5. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that logic. 13 is close to 5. Doc's cards in the chat. What is up, Doc? Hope you're having a good start to your week, the work week, anyways. I believe you're in Arizona as well as David. I think you have mentioned that in the past. David informing me that it is morning. It is still 10 a.m. over there. Yes, I believe Lady Prime agrees with this. My wife thinks flowers are lazy, so I have to take her on a cruise. Oh, man alive. Oh, well, I mean, didn't she surprise you with the Atlanta Braves tickets? So, I mean, you keep raising the game. At some point, it's gonna be it's gonna be an extravagant gift. I am Arizona, nice and cool weather today. We are expecting rain again. So Saturday, I remember I spoke about on the live stream there, dealing with bad weather all day, rain all day, until about 8 o'clock, maybe. Not necessarily hard rain. That was maybe till about 6. We were supposed to have rain yesterday. Didn't really get any. We're supposed to have rain overnight. Didn't get any. But it says around 2 or 3 o'clock get rain. I've already had the power cut out at the place at the house quite a few times. So yeah, that's why I tried to. I turned off all the lights here. Right now, it's all natural lighting. I opened up the window just in case the power does go out. It's not going to affect the stream. Other than, yes, it will, because that phone will go out. I'll lose Wi-Fi. So if it does go out, I'll scramble and try to get the other phone up. She did. I can't complain too much, at least not openly. Well, yes, I agree with that talk. It's 88 here, already too hot. Oh, man. David, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So the issue here is the humidity, man. It just, and especially with the rain, like you feel the heat coming from the ground. And it's a different kind of heat. When I lived in San Antonio, so concrete jungle, right? You would feel the heat coming from the cement. This is a different kind of heat because it's that humidity and whatnot. So just brutal. Like I said, I don't want to leave Texas, but North Texas looking good more and more. So we'll see what happens in the coming years. With Ollie being the age he is, I know he doesn't want to lose his friends and whatnot, but daddy's got to do what daddy's got to do. So the biz is in the chat. Bizarbra breaks. Morning, everybody. I hope you all had a nice weekend. I had a good weekend. It just felt like it was too short. But the benefit for me is I don't work tonight. But I do have to drive to San Antonio tonight. I have training tonight or tomorrow to do. I have to sit in a potentially, well, I get an hour lunch, but I have to sit in a potentially, let's see, 9 hour to 10 hour course, I guess is what you could say. So I'm not looking forward to that. The way I work and most of the jobs I enjoy working, very physical. You're constantly moving around. Time seems to go by faster. So how does this display? Does it actually display your emoji? No, it does that. See, when I'm on my other phone, I see everything that you send. But with this phone, it does that instead. Let me see. Did I miss it? Yeah, see right there. That's what I'm talking about, Trev. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Because then if you're in North Texas, like you're closer to other states. Where I'm at right now, I'm closest to Mexico. And I ain't trying to go to Mexico. It's not my thing. I know there's people that like to, jump in there and do some stuff over there. I've never been one. And then, the border towns are not what they used to be. Although I did send it one of the guys on my crew, he needed a day off. And so he went down to get some dental work done, and it was extremely cheap. And he was able to pick me up some wrestling masks. So maybe if I ever need some wrestling, some lucha libre memorabilia, maybe I will brave it one of these days. I hear that this weekend just flew by. I hope your course is engaging. So this is one of those courses where you have to do some role playing and stuff, and I cannot stand that. But I was told as long as you respond and interact with the class, you won't have to do the role playing stuff. Now, you guys are thinking, oh, he did a movie. What about the role playing? Why does it bother him? It's strictly the setting. Like I don't want to role play and do stuff related to work. Like it's it's not fun, and I really find it dumb. So my biggest worry is during this whole class is what kind of face am I going to have? So I've got to look like I actually pay attention. So let's see. See, Chop, you see, that's what I'm talking about. That like, I'm Mexican American and I don't want to go to Mexico. I'm afraid they'll try and keep me. So my Lady Prime, her aunt would be considered a very beautiful woman. And she'll go to Ciudad Juarez. And I don't know. You hear some stories about Juarez. And but she'll tell you when she goes in there, she does not dress up. She dresses down, no makeup. She tries to make herself look as unappealing as possible. Tries to make herself look as, as somebody that would just pass you by and you don't pay attention to them. So I mean, it's another world, and it's always crazy when we go to El Paso because I mean, you can literally see the border right then and there, and it's and I make jokes about Mexico and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't even want to visit. I had an ex-girlfriend once and she wanted to travel the world, and I let her know, like, I don't want to leave the United States. I'm in the greatest country in the world. Like, I have no desire. And so, post breakup, she's been to Russia. She's lived in Japan for a while. Like, that just doesn't interest me. Doesn't interest me. So, I make jokes, but, for those who do like to go to Mexico and stuff like that, more power to you. It doesn't appeal to me. This snuck up on me. I was watching one of your recent haul videos when I got the notification. I'm sorry, bottom tier. I did not set. I did not, enter in that I was going to do a stream ahead of time, which I've been trying to do. I did it last week for both streams, and I didn't do it. Um, I just forgot, and then I thought about doing it this morning, but I was extremely tired because work schedule, and I didn't sleep much. So I said, "Well, I'm gonna nap, and if I wake up in time, I'll do it, and if not, I'll just have to put a message on there and tell them I can't do it." But my alarm went off, and so I woke up in time to jump on the stream. Just Texas is so wide and long; takes a while to get out of the state. See, yes, that's what I'm saying, man. If I live in North Texas, like you can run through Oklahoma relatively quickly, and then I mean, it just seems like once you get out of Texas, yeah, maybe it takes a few hours to get through some states, but it doesn't take like if I travel west, I mean, it's an 8 to 10 hour drive just to get out of Texas if you're on I-10. Man alive. Not as far on the East Coast, like when we went to New Orleans for WrestleMania 30. You know, driving through Houston plus an hour or two more to get to Louisiana. So yeah. Um. Uh-oh. What sounds dumb? I gotta figure my training. I'd like to go to Japan and the beer meccas of the world in Belgium and Germany. I don't care to stay long though. Yeah, well, that's your thing. You're kind of a connoisseur. Okay, if you could, you live in Japan. And like I said, it's just nothing that interests me because I feel like everything I want is here. My brother does traveling, and so he does multiple cruises, and he's done. Where has he gone? Was it Iceland or Greenland? One of the two. Probably Iceland. I think he's more into traveling and whatnot and doing all that. I want to see like parts of the United States I haven't seen before I even venture out. I am not a flyer. Like I do not like being on those jumbo jets. Like it just that's probably the thing that gets me most. But even then, Mexico's a drive, and I don't really want to do it. So, what is up, Super Rush 9000? Hope you're having a good start to your week. Keep on keeping on, man. Know that you left the morning stream or Saturday to continue your walk. So continue on that path, man. It's fantastic. Love seeing your updates. Encouraging. Not that I have a whole lot of weight I need to lose, but health wise and a little bit of weight, yeah, I need to stop drinking soda. I know that is the biggest culprit. Trev says he wants to go to Rome and Japan, and I get it. Like those are cool places. So yes, if I'm gonna go somewhere, yes, probably Rome. A lot of the ancient world, well, one of the ancient worlds, right? I would love to see. I think that's a cool place to go. I'm not Catholic, but I would like to go to Vatican City just to experience that. It is one of the wonders of the world, I guess you could say. I would like to see that. I've seen it in movies and whatnot. So, but my biggest goal, I want to see New York City before I die one of these days. But like Christmas, New York City and Christmas, like I want to see that. But we'll see. We'll see. Been to Japan, Mexico, England, and Paris. Oh man, alive, Mike. Which of those places is your favorite? Well, I guess Japan will be your favorite, right? Because you said you would live there. So you guys want to go to? No, just kidding. I was about to make an Alabama joke. Alabama, Bounty Collector. Alabama's east to west state lines are a 4 hour drive apart. If I'm guessing, our north to south state lines are an 8 hour drive apart. Yes, yeah, because it's a longer state going up and down. Right, right. My travels through Alabama were just through it when we went to Florida, went to Disney World, and then we stayed in. Man, I can't remember. Maybe it was. Uh, Trying to think where we stayed. I've slept in Alabama 1 or 2 nights. We were visiting an aunt, and so like I like to think of of things like that. Like I've spent more time in Las Vegas than I've spent in Alabama, but I've spent more time in Louisiana than I've spent anywhere else other than Texas. So I always like to think in that scale. Florida, I have like 4 or 5 nights under my belt. Mississippi never never stayed overnight in it, but we've spent the day in Pittsburgh doing, historical stuff. Oh yeah, role play work training, like, dude, it's just there's no call for that. There's like absolutely no call for it because I don't already care about the subject matter as it is. And then you're in a room full of people who also don't care about the subject matter. You got a teacher who's pretending to care about the subject matter, or worse yet, she really, really is all about that subject matter. And I don't mind learning. I don't mind sitting in classes when it's something I want to learn. But this is repetitive garbage. This is going to be some, oh man alive. What's going to happen is my bosses are going to see this stream one day and I'm going to get fired. But you get the point. Bottom tier collector says Russ weighs less than I do now, and no offense to Russ, but I'm feeling guilty over it. Dante's Game Room says my son is going to make me go to Japan. Oh, were you gonna like to wrestle in Japan? So that would be pretty cool. Like that would be pretty cool. If it's cool with you to jump into the stream, post the link. Give me 1 second, David. I'm gonna send it to you on Instagram, all right? Just because I don't want to mess with the phone there. Let's see. Come on. Sorry for the complete halt to the stream, guys. I'm just not tech savvy where I can do it right away. Let's see. Why can't I find you on my Instagram? There you are. Yeah, I think that's the right link. We'll know when it tells me that I have a guest. I've always wanted to see Ireland. You know what? I'll tell you what. Okay. Everybody's talking. Let's see. We'd love to see Greece. Trev, let's go. Bottom tier collector. I'd love to see the big NYC Christmas tree that's in Home Alone 2. Yep. Yep. And Japan was my favorite. That tree is dope. Yes. Bottom tier collector. Probably stayed in Montgomery or Dothan if you were headed to Florida. No, that time we were visiting family. They were living there at the time, so I'm not sure. All right, well, man, dude, if that happens, dude, you've got to get video of it. That'd be awesome. Russ has been killing it on his health journey. Yes. Okay, so as far as going to like England, that area, okay, so I've recently resubscribed to Netflix. I try to not have so many streaming services at one time because you can only watch so much at one time. David, let me scroll to the bottom. Let me make sure. If you're trying and unsuccessful, let me know in the chat or on Instagram. So I resubscribed to Netflix, and I rewatched the first 2 seasons of probably like top 10 show, like top 5 show, and so I started watching The Last Kingdom again. I don't know if you guys know that show. There's only one other guy at work who knows it, and it's fantastic to talk about him because we like geek out over it. The Last Kingdom, dealing with Wessex, London, dealing with the Danes and the Saxons, like man alive. So if I could go to that part of the world, I guess if I'm gonna have to get on a plane and fly for an extended period of time, I would like to visit that because that show has won me over. Or maybe I'll be like Dwight Schrute and I will travel to New Zealand so I can walk the path to Mordor. Let me get back to the chat. So, oh yeah, Dante said he was going to wrestle in Japan. That's awesome. I'd like to see you on Noah or New Japan Pro Wrestling, Dante. I think everybody would like to go to New Japan if they're gonna go there. Been to Italy twice, Canada and Venezuela. Man alive, everybody's doing some traveling. Maybe I'm living too sheltered of a life. What my dude, David going live? I hope so. Oh, there we go. Let's see.
What's up?
Hopefully I got this to work.
How's it going?
What's up, David? How's it going?
What's going on?
It's going all right.
How's everybody doing? Cool. Happy Monday.
Let me see. So wait, okay. So if it's 10 a.m. there, you're off today. What time did you wake up?
Oh man, the cat woke me up at like 5 o'clock. So
Okay, so
yeah,
your 5 o'clock is my 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm just driving home from work at that time.
yeah. But I got to get the kids ready for school on Monday morning. So the wife
Gotcha,
takes care
gotcha.
of it like every other day. So I take care of it here. So on Mondays. So have a good day,
Trev is going
Trev.
to work.
What's up, chat? How you doing?
Want to go to Italy so bad. All right.
Italy would be
Phil
nice.
Tastic also working. Let me just
Bill,
catch up with the chat. Phil was in Mexico too for a wedding. Forgot about that. All right, all right. He lived to tell about to talk about it. Brian LCS was at least here because I don't know how far behind I am on the chat. Bottom tier collector says, watch Outlaw King starring Chris Pine. It's a more accurate Braveheart. Fantastic movie. Okay. And Bane has entered the stream. I miss you having main event because I like to call you Bane event. I thought I was so genius with that. Oh man, is that my fault, Mike, that you're lagging, or is that just what you're going through over there, Mike? Let me know.
well, that whole main event thing, you would not believe how many times I went on to like sites like Whatnot or whatever, and I post my name as Main Event Comics, and so many people would be like, "Are you from Maine? Like, how is it in Maine?" How I'm like, all right, I gotta stop this. That's one of the reasons why I changed it. Plus, yeah,
Wow, man,
just
alive.
wanted to get my name out there. So
Yeah, I got it. Hey, man, I get it. Like, there's another Fanboy Prime, and so like, if he ever makes us think about it, because I feel like he's had his channel longer than I've had mine. I think he just does gameplay, and if he ever makes us think about it, like I've already got in my head, my vision, what I'm changing my name to. So
nice.
it will be I am not Fanboy Prime. So
I think you mentioned that before. Yeah, you
yeah,
should
because like
do that.
I think it's my Xbox. And maybe I have it on my PlayStation. Like my gamer tag is I am Fanboy Prime because I think someone else had Fanboy Prime for the actual gamer tag. So I was like, well, I'll do this. Oh, okay, it's raining there. Okay, got you. Raining here and killing concrete. Manny is in the chat. Good morning, Manny. Good morning. I'm telling Manny good morning like I'm where you're at. Manny's an hour ahead of me. So good afternoon, Manny.
Man, you're all in the future.
David was on at 6 a.m. my time the other day. Must have been 4 a.m. his time. Right. And that's because you were getting up for work, right?
Yeah,
So
I have to be at work at like 4:50 in the morning, Tuesday through
what?
Saturday. So
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. You said Wednesdays through Saturdays?
Tuesdays through Saturdays.
Tuesday through Saturday. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And normally I'm up at that time because you had mentioned it. I think my previous Saturday, you had mentioned that you would be going live. And I was like, okay, I'll try to catch that. This past Saturday, I did not wake up till about 50 minutes before my stream. So I missed it. Actually, when I got on, it said you had just ended it or it had been ended for a while. And I was like, oh, man. So my apologies, dude.
No worries. It's not even a guarantee I'm going to do every Saturday, but
Right. But I would like to try to catch you live because you support me. So, man, I want to return the love.
Appreciate that.
And then we talk about wrestling, though, like.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever, we can talk about whatever as long as it keeps me awake.
Well, you can talk about whatever. And I saw a video on Instagram. Now, I don't know if it was your account, if I accidentally wound up on your wife's account somehow, just like, when you travel down the wormholes, you go down the rabbit hole. And were you doing a little dancing or something on that video? Is that what I?
Yeah. Like we had just gotten back from the mall. We had like a kids free night, and we went to the mall and we had seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and man, we walked into Hot Topic and they had that Star-Lord jacket right there in the window.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta get that. So I bought it, and I didn't know she was filming that. I did not know she was filming that.
That was awesome. It's like one of those things that I would not want Lady Prime to film, but like I would be happy that she got it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because it would provide enjoyment for me.
She wanted to post it so bad. The look on her face was just like pure joy. I'm like, all right, fine. Go ahead.
You couldn't deny her that.
No.
I used to live that brutal first shift life. I'd trade my second shift schedule to go back to day shift, if even for terribly early hours. Well, that's bottom tier. Talking about that. Bottom tier, I believe he was alternating between third and second or something. I know recently he had a kind of a schedule change for him. So Uh, the overnight stuff, like I used to love it because time would go by fast, and I I was still kind of young enough that it didn't matter that I wasn't getting enough sleep during the day. So either two things happened. I either got older and my, I just can't hang anymore,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
or it caught up. Like it built up over years and years and years to like now, like I need sleep and I don't get it enough.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate, like I took a shower right before we came in. I feel like I'm all red, but I feel like that's because I'm exhausted and I didn't get enough sleep. And like not like a natural red. I feel like it's a flustered red, and I'm pretty sure it's just like stress and, and anxiety. But I don't want to get a text message or an Instagram DM from Bottom Tier or Neil asking me, "Am I going live today?"
What is enough sleep though? I don't think that exists.
Um,
Nobody can get enough sleep. You know.
you, you know the sleep you get on vacation. Well, you've got cats though, and you've got young kids, so I'm trying to think of like before all that, like the sleep I would get on vacation, like where you didn't have to wake up, but you chose to wake up. That to me
Yep.
is when you get enough sleep. But it's so like few and far between.
It is for sure.
Oh yeah, Bottom Tier was telling me about this. So I thought I could get away with taking my 5-year-old son to Guardians this weekend. I thought since I was done Dirty by Fox and the Hound at his age, he could survive all the heart pulls and Guardians. Yeah, so you had messaged me right when he'd gone in, and then he messaged me. He's like, "Oh, so that didn't last long," and what's up? So I still
Man,
haven't seen it. So, but if you guys, well, no, I don't know if anybody in the chat where they're at. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I would have wanted to go see it this past weekend, but Ollie wound up getting sick, and it just so unexpected. He had his field day, which I don't know if you guys know.
yeah.
They do games playing around or whatever, and so the humidity here had been brutal because of the rain. So I don't know. Your worst fear is that he had a heat stroke, right? But he just got overheated. He just got he got exhausted. He said he didn't drink any of the water we packed in his bag, so maybe he was dehydrated. I don't know, but he was doing fine this morning when I dropped him off. But
Well, that's good. Glad he's feeling better. So that's
oh
good.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Trev's right. Once you hit 40, it's
Downhill from there. Yeah.
my dad told me when I hit 40, my balls were gonna hit the water in the toilets. And that you knew that everything was downhill from then on.
Yep.
I can't say, so I keep the water low in my toilet on purpose because I don't want to be all.
Just in case.
Sorry for that visual, chap. Manny says, I loved my doorman overnight shift. Clean before and when people head to work to make it look like I've been working all night, chill most of the night. Yeah, I've seen okay, so I'll see like some people with their work gigs and like, who are these people? And maybe that's you, David, because I know you were playing games while you were at work and stuff like that, video games where you would say like, I've got to go, I'm on a call right now or whatever. Where are these jobs where people can take their video games and their books and like read? I would hear people read their comics. Who is it? Fire Guy Ryan when he was working at hotel or something like that. I'm like, every job I ever had, like you can't stand around and do stuff. And maybe I'm just poor in my job selection.
If you're like a security guard or something overnight and you have like nothing to do but walk around
Right.
and look at stuff, I can see how that would be possible, or like a janitor too. Like get all your cleaning done, just sit there.
Knock it out early and then Bottom Tier says, pro tip: go see it in 3D. Greatest 10 minutes of my movie going live. I'm gonna have to try it again. Did you see it in 3D?
I did not know. I wear glasses, so I can't see stuff in 3D very well. So
I've never enjoyed 3D movies. I saw Avatar in 3D, and where we sat was bad too. But I've never enjoyed the 3D movie going experience. I went to go see Spy Kids 3D because it was in 3D, and I was like, okay, let's. And it did nothing for me. It I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when 3D first started coming out, and it was a gimmick, and every movie was in 3D, and that got really irritating. Just knock it off. But
let me see. What was there? Was it like Bloody Valentine or something like that? Was in 3D. Like I remember buying the DVD, or like my stepdad had bought it, and so I opened it up, and I'm like, what are these glasses for? Like, Because does it even work on a regular TV? I don't know.
I remember seeing Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare in 3D, and they had the little red and blue 3D glasses,
Yes.
and that was some good 3D. I really enjoyed that one. But now, most of the time, it's just a gimmick. So.
Right. Yeah. Who would wear 3D glasses? Like they perpetually. Was it the Teen Wolf cartoon where Styles would wear the 3D glasses constantly? Like I don't know why. Like, shout out to the Teen Wolf cartoon. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Like all those 80s and 90s cartoons. Like now I'm about to go down that rabbit hole. So lately I've been thinking about this one episode of, I believe it was the Back to the Future cartoon. And so like they go back to dinosaur times and they alter it where like the comet doesn't destroy the dinosaurs or whatever. And so like when they make it back to their regular time, dinosaurs are in suits or whatever and living their life and replacing humans. I don't know why that has popped into my head, but I've been thinking about it recently. I'm like, I wish I could buy these cartoons or find them streaming somewhere. I know, was it Prime had the real Ghostbusters, which that was kind of cool to catch up on. Some of it I feel is dated and it's kind of hard to get through.
Yeah, Prime also had Dinosaurs, which was one of my favorite shows.
Okay,
you know,
is Dinosaurs the one where they hit the thing on their
Yep.
suit and become a dinosaur? Oh man, I loved that cartoon back in the day.
They used to have it, now they're not like airing it anymore. So
Oh man, I hate when that happens.
yeah, and it's never been released on DVD to my knowledge, but hopefully one day.
Gotcha. Mike misses working overnight.
Overnight's fun. I used to work overnight at Target, and that was fun. So unloading the truck, stocking the shelves, and finding what figures were coming out, and then just like hiding them, and then coming back after the shift and grabbing them.
Well, like I always see that like Target has the shelves that you can lift up and then pull out from underneath the bottom shelf. You can lift that bottom shelf up, and people will always hide toys there. And somebody had released whether it was a video or a post on Instagram, that like toys from like 5 years ago were hidden under there, like certain wrestling figures that were hot or it was a legend. And then I guess somebody hid there and then they never went back to get it, or they just forgot about it. I don't know. But that was pretty fun seeing that. We were dancing to Queen last night. I guess this was you and Ollie, Lady Prime. Okay. Bottom tier hates the toilet backsplash. I'll get angry about that. No, no, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's like you're at that's like you're at a water park.
Yeah, why would you like toilet backsplash? The only feeling to have is to hate
it. Lady Prime, you mean dancing queen? Don't take up for fanboy. No, I wasn't dancing. Bottom tier collector. Let's see. Lady Prime says, bottom tier collector. One time my brother would always tell me that when he was on the toilet and then would ask me if I know what he means. And I'm like, yeah, my balls always get backsplashed. Guys are gross. The chat is disgusting.
There's nothing worse than backsplash in a public restroom.
Oh, God. My brother said he would hover over the toilet, like he would, like when you do the dips. He said he would do that with the toilet. So Lady Prime says it was Queen. Oh, that's right. They were watching Wayne's World when I left last night. So I guess they were jamming out to
22.
22. What's good people? I wish I had his voice that I could say, what's good people? Like I just made fun of him. I'm sorry. 22. We filmed your top 5 covers video this weekend. And so I did it a family affair. Ollie was sick though, so I'm going to have to just show his book. He's not on camera. But Lady Prime shows her 5 favorite covers in her collection, and I show my 5 favorite covers in your collection. On that note, I have to tell Phil that Superman 79 did not make it on my top 5 because I couldn't find it. I don't know where I put it. And so like I had these visions of like things I'm going to do for videos. And so I'll set books apart and I'm like, okay, I'm going to show it on this video. And I'm tired all the time. So I forget where I put things. Last week, Lady Prime found my wallet in the trash. I was late to work because I was trying to find my wallet. So apparently at some point I threw it in the trash, like, and I don't know when that happened, how that happened. So yeah, David. On that note, speaking of filming 22's video, I have my books set aside for the 5 favorite deaths in comics. And I'm glad I haven't filmed it yet because yesterday I just thought of 2 more that I was like, man, that's kind of interesting. Like, so I got to think about it. Does it make my top 5 or the 5 I set aside? So I'll probably film that Wednesday, maybe release it Thursday. If I don't release it Thursday, and then I'll release it next week on a Tuesday. Like I'm trying
Looking
to
forward to
come
that.
up with a schedule of videos, but I don't
It's
know.
tough. Yeah, it's tough to do.
Right. Right. And then because if you say you're on a schedule, you've got to commit to it. And sometimes I just don't feel like making a video. I'm so tired, dude. Like,
Yep.
and I hate beating that horse to death, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I was talking to Manny the other day, messaged him he was messaging back and forth on Instagram, and I was like, dude, like lives are my bread and butter because it's so easy to do, and I guess I'm decent at it. I don't know, it's fun. It's fun for sure.
No, it's been cool. You've been doing a great job on the Saturday morning stretch. So
I appreciate that. I was my first live with Otaku and Namen, or was it with you and Neil? I think it was with you and Neil. We did the game. We did some trivia one time.
Yes,
and,
I remember. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was your first one or not, but
I think it was. And so, like, I appreciate you inviting me to do that because it kind of opened my eyes. Like, okay, StreamYard, and here's how you do it, and that was easy, and I can use my phone and stuff like that. So,
StreamYard.
bottom tier is my favorite. Oh, go ahead.
We got to get a stream with like bottom tier collector and Super Us, and just do like a wrestling stream with the 4 of us or whoever wants to drop in and just talk
dude.
stuff. That would be dope.
That would be our stable our stable chat. Like, we need a stable name. Bottom tier says my favorite Lobo figure is of him wearing 3D glasses. Come with human-sized 3D glasses. I don't understand it, but it's cool. That does sound cool. David, you want to say anything about his Lobo figure?
All I'm picturing is like that 3D glasses and his Lobo in like a red and black costume. So
You kind of had me thinking there for a second. You weren't going to go that route, but fantastic. I'm glad you went that route. So that stream, I remember this is a few weeks back. I sent you that picture of Lobo, in the Deadpool, or it's Deadpool with Lobo's head. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to post this. That way we have an interesting conversation. Well, I didn't even actually post it during the live stream, but it wound up being the image for the stream. And so bottom tier messages me. And he's like, yeah, I see that little subtle shade you're throwing out or something along those lines.
Oh man, I love getting a bottom tier about this, man. Lobo and Deadpool. Ever since he first said that people thinking how he hates people calling Lobo Deadpool, that carrot was right there.
It's like one of those things you can't forget. Like, you have to call him out on it. Real Ghostbusters is great. You better tread lightly, sir. Yeah, Ghostbusters is fine. It was like Ninja Turtles, and I think I even heard 22 say this on Between the Lines or something like that. Going back and watching some of those episodes of Ninja Turtles it's a little rough. I'm a person that loved the Transformers cartoon, the 80s Transformers cartoon, and even now, like, I don't know, maybe I've burnt myself out on it because I've watched it so much. I would go through binge watching it, and like even then, it's like I have trouble for it holding my interest, and so sometimes it'll become what I play in the background. But even then, like, I'm like, nah, I need to put something else on. And so, like, The Office is like my go-to. Like, let me put that on the background. Parks and Rec, that is like my background. Even lately, Bob's Burgers, like, that's my background viewing. And I don't know. Maybe I'm entered adulthood and Transformers just doesn't hold the same sway over me.
No, it's different now that we're adults than we were as children. So we were just looking at it like with wonderment, and now we're like, okay, this is nice. This is a good little reminder.
Like, why did I love this so much? Yeah. Like adult eyes. Like I love adult eyes because you get to re-experience things. But then sometimes when you re-experience some things, they don't hold the charm they once did. And that makes me sad.
Yeah.
A dude recently found a 1999 Pokemon pack in a Target under a shelf. Opened it on Lionheart's channel.
When did they clean the store last?
Yeah, no kidding.
Pokemon pack.
But I've heard stuff like that when they do remodels and stuff like that. Parts of the store are opened up that hadn't been seen for years. There was a story. It was like a grocery store where when they were doing a remodel, they found a dead body, and
oh my god,
this guy was missing for years. But what he used to do is he used to sneak away while on the clock and go to sleep while on shift. Well, where he wedged himself, they said, because it was a tight corner where they couldn't find it. Well, he wedged himself in a spot. You know, when you wedge yourself so tight, your chest, you can't breathe anymore, and that's pretty much what they concluded. There was no way to dump the body there, and it's just crazy that how this for one the smell. You know what I mean? Like how did that not happen? But he found some corner of the store that just gets hidden. So,
Oh man, somebody should have
I am
noticed.
so offended. It says 22 Comics. 22. Did you put up a new podcast? I didn't finish last week's episode. I need to go do that. Comically Comics podcast. If you guys have not had the opportunity to listen to it, I would check it out. It's fun. Like I don't know. This last one, not this most recent one, but the one where they were talking about Annihilation Conquest, and they're just ripping this storyline to shreds. I could not stop laughing on the way home with that episode. So
Still got to check out that podcast. I listen to so many right now that it's hard to keep up.
right, and I get that. I like anytime someone asks me, "Hey, you should check this one out," I'm like, I'll try to write it down, but I'm kind of set on what I need to do. But I went out of my way to check out 22s, and I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I have to work on my top 5. No worries, fanboy. I tend to use my picks from CLZ rather than the actual book. And that's what I said. I'm going to post a picture of the image, but I wanted to show what I actually had. So I am considering starting a ridiculously niched spoof comic challenge.
You should.
That's a bottom tier. So
You absolutely should. Any kind of abnormal comic challenge would be fun.
right. The ones that make you got to work too, like it's a little annoying, but then like it's so rewarding because you figure out things that you don't remember.
Right.
This is Lady Primes reminding everybody that I do not like to commit to stuff. She's absolutely right. Do you got anything you want to talk about before I go back to the chat, or are you cool with me just hitting up the chat? I don't want to like completely ignore the chat, but
No, I'm cool with you just hitting up the chat. Yeah. If they've
okay, all right.
got anything they want to talk about or anything, that's cool. You're running the show.
Volunteer says, I will never announce an official challenge. I'm sorry. I will never announce an official channel schedule. Channel. Why can't I get that word out? The only schedule I set for myself, I think I couldn't stick to it by episode 5 or 6. That's the issue. So what I need to do is kind of what I'm doing now with Lady Prime. I need to film like 4 or 5 episodes ahead of time before I ever commit to something. So I have this grand vision in my head, and I kind of mentioned it on Brian's 411. Like there is a certain storyline / story arc / certain period of DC Comics that I would love to cover because it's my absolute favorite period, and I want to talk about like go issue by issue. But I'm like talking like 200 issues, 200 plus issues. So it would be an extended series. But I don't want to announce it, and I don't want to like commit to it because that's one of those ones where like I have to film 10 episodes ahead of time because I want to stick to that schedule. But I don't know how I want to do it because I do want to branch off into content that you don't have to watch the screen. That's why I kind of like the live streams. Everybody says they're at work and they can listen to. Like I like that. But I don't have a theme or anything for my live streams where it would be like a podcast, right? Like mine is strictly a hangout. Let me hang out with the chat. But the chat always dictates where it goes. Right. So it's like, I've got to figure out how I'm going to do it. How am I going to film it? Am I going to show images? That way, if someone does happen to look at their phone, you know, it does show what I'm talking about. How long do I want to make these? A lot of things I'm trying to consider and figure out, you know?
Right. Absolutely. You can show like images while you have the audio going, like just switch it. You know, that way if you're talking about a certain thing, the picture's right there for those who just want to glance up from whatever they're doing, seeing what you're talking about. You know, and I like the way Bottom Tier has been doing his WrestleMania reviews, you know, because it makes it so much easier to follow. And that's a cool way to do it. So, yeah, the podcast style, I believe.
Right. And that's what he calls it. Like, I've got to figure out how I want to do that because if I do podcast style, do I want to film it on my laptop and get more of a professional mic setup because it is more audio than visual, you know, and things I'm trying to consider. So I've got to figure it out.
Yeah, there's some good audio programs that you can download to your phone and just walk around while you're doing stuff and just clips. Like if you have a thought, just record it and then just slice it into whatever video you're making.
What I need to do is I need to get a really, really high end phone and only use it for basically my camera or my computer. You know, what a lot of times I like when I want my best quality image, like I film my videos on my work phone because my work phone, I thought I was buying the same phone. I did not buy the same phone. So like I'll look at pictures I take on my personal phone. I'm like, ugh, it's brutal. So I always have to move stuff. Like my Instagram is only on my personal phone. I don't want to put it on my work phone because I know they're spying.
Yeah. I was gonna
So
say, don't delete any of that stuff in case you have to give the phone back. And they're just
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through all these videos like, what was he doing?
And so like I always have to send my files and stuff to my personal phone, and then I upload it to Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, I need to get a really, really good phone where the only thing on it is my editing program and stuff like that, because your cameras on your laptop aren't nearly as good as your phone and stuff like that. So,
Right.
but like I said, I've got to figure out how I want to do that. And do I want to do it alone, or do I want to have somebody in here with me that we can kind of like, I don't know if you ever listened to and I know Bottom Chair, I believe, has mentioned it, the Crisis to Crisis podcast. They're basically talking about every issue of Superman from Crisis on Infinite Earths to Infinite Crisis. And so like they break down a comic and just kind of talk about it back and forth. It would be easier for me to do like that, I think. But then you run the risk of, hey, here's this hour-and-a-half episode. Hope you enjoyed about one book or two books. And so once again, just game planning and try to figure out things. I jumped into YouTube. What's that?
Just record and see where it goes.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I need to do. That's exactly what I need to do. Like the first video I made was just a response to Super Russ, and while that was good, and then it got me on YouTube, and like I've been making videos consistently since then. I never envisioned like a channel direction, and so that's where I feel like I'm kind of in limbo. Like I don't have a direction for my channel, I guess is kind of what that whole 30 minutes we just talked about was. Let's see. Bottom Tier says, and this is going back quite a ways, but like, why? Why do casual fans call Lobo DC's Deadpool? He's a parody of Deathstroke. I must find these Target secret shelves. How have I not known about these? Oh, dude, there's like Instagrams like dedicated to finding stuff underneath the shelf, but it's just the bottom shelf, right? You lift the bottom shelf. Goku versus Frieza is unbearably long to me now at 33. When I was a kid, that was the greatest story ever told. Yep. See, Trev's talking about a remodel.
Takes like what, 500 episodes for them to get to a fight in Dragon Ball?
I was never a Dragon Ball guy. Am I missing out? Like, I have some guys at work that will tell me I am, and then some they're like, no, it's okay. Like they're into like that stuff, but they're like, you're okay not watching it because like you got to catch up on a whole a plethora of stuff.
Yeah, my brother-in-law has been trying to get me into it, and he showed me some episodes. And I'm like, all right, they're just having a stare down contest, and now they're spending 5 episodes just talking at each other. They're not even throwing a single punch yet. Like I
22
get,
lift,
you know, how it's good.
22 says, like, straight up lift any bottom shelf, just lift the bastard up and look for treasures. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because those shelves, Walmart's are different. So most of Walmart's bottom shelves sometimes are built into the shelving thing where you can't really lift it. There's a way to get it out, but it's not as easy as Target's. Target's, apparently you can just straight up lift it like it's a car hood.
Well, when they reach the store, don't they have to like go end to end? Like somebody, I thought I saw it like at some point they have like straps or something that they put on each end of like the aisle or sections of an aisle, and then they just move it to another part wherever they're moving it to, and things can easily fall underneath. And if they're not looking, they're putting stuff on top of it. You know, they're putting the shelves like right on top, so things can easily get lost.
You're talking about Target?
Yeah, like Target, Walmart.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but you said you've seen them do that, like when you work there, or
yeah, like even shopping, because they're redoing one of the Targets here, and we walk in and people are moving the shelf, and one person's at one end, another person's at one end, and they've got like straps underneath the shelf, and they're lifting it up and moving it, you know. So like
gotta be
built.
Gotta be an easier way to do that. Phil says, on the other side of the spectrum, I've rewatched Never Ending Story recently. The whole scene with the horse in the swamp still feels like a swift kick to the gut. Okay, Phil, like, I think about that scene all the time. Like, the trauma it induced. And so, like, you speaking about it like this now, like, I'm kind of afraid to go watch that scene now because, like, the adult eyes, like, I feel like it would even impact me even more. Oh, it's such a slow burn too, the way he's just sinking and like, oh man, alive. Green Machine in the chat, or at least was. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind on the chat. Bottom tier says I watched that within the last 2 years. Cried real tears at the horse and sand pit, or the. It's not sand, right? It's mud, right?
It's been a while since I watched that movie.
See, this is 22. Look at this. The podcast is definitely worth listening to if I do say so myself. Laugh out loud. Today dropped our spoiler-filled review of Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I will not be listening to that one until I see the movie.
I'm gonna have to listen to that one. I want to.
Bottom tier says, or sorry, Phil says, bottom tier. I wound up doing a whole art challenge based on the film, all of November 2021. Wow. I wish I had been around for that. Love the challenges, digging through the collection. Right, Trev. Like, I agree with that. Like, because we're all like getting new books, and even if they're not new books, they're back issues, but it's new. And we're like piling on to our collection. And sometimes we like, I did the I've got the runs episode on Transformers Generation 2. I don't know the last time I dug those books out other than when I moved them to a shelf, but like I actually like was opening them up and looking at like it's a cool way to re-experience your collection. And that's why even if that series only gets 20 views and I get like 4 likes and like I this latest video, the watch time was only like it averaged a minute. People only put a minute, you know. That series is going to be for me because it gives me an excuse or a reason to go look at certain runs I've put together and re-experiencing them. So yeah,
and that's a good thing. Yeah, because I've got boxes and boxes that I haven't even dug through in a long time. Oh,
and so I've thought about that. Like I miss like the initial days of jumping into comics because when you had your collection, like you might have read a book 5 or 6 times because that's all you had at the time. You might have read a storyline multiple times. Now I can say for the most part, the last 10 years, 15 years of storylines, I've only read one time. And like, I love the stories and I would love to revisit them, but I don't have the time because I'm reading this story that's coming out or this story. So, like I said, the challenges give you a good reason to look through your collection, figure out what you have. Sometimes you forget what you have. I'm going to need the backlog episodes for the summer when baby girl is born. About to have 0 time to film. That's true, bottom tier.
Oh, you got those nights you're going to be up. Plan some stuff for those late nights.
Manny says he loves deep dive videos he would watch. And Manny has slowly become one of my, or no, not slowly, rapidly become. Once he's joined, like the first time I ran into him in Brian LCS's chat, and then he jumped into my chat, like, it's one of my biggest supporters right there. And Manny's one of my favorite channels. Like his shorts and his videos, like I need to bring a notepad and a pen because I'm always learning.
Right. I love the video he posted with the Stormtrooper AIM covers. Have you watched that one yet?
No.
It's like all these like 5 covers and somebody's shooting at another character and it's just incredible. It's hilarious seeing how close they're getting to the target, but just absolutely missing. So they, especially one of them, I'm not going to spoil it, but right in front of the target, 2 targets in this case, and it still miss. You'll know which one I'm talking about. It was an easy shot.
Gotcha. Bottom tier says he finally decided no one is going to watch me talk for an hour. Best decision ever to go to podcast style.
Oh, we'd watch you talk. If we were talking about interesting stuff, we'd watch it.
No, but I think he means like continually look at the screen.
Yeah.
If his face looked like his commercial video where like his hair is all messed up and he looks like he's like I'd watch that for an hour straight.
Right? Yeah.
Manny. Sorry, go ahead.
That was fantastic. Absolutely. Do more of
that. Bottom tier says, I second Manny's notion. I desire going into comic book deep cuts. That's really the kind of content I enjoy the most. It just, I think about how much time I have to watch everybody's videos. And so like, you're asking people to commit that much time. Like I'm torn between it. Cause even Manny has said he does short videos because he knows people's time is not readily available. So then I go and do 3-minute, 5-minute videos, and people only watch a minute. Versus when I do the 20-minute Lady Prime shows off her T-shirt collection, like it has an 8-minute view time. So I don't know.
Those videos
Maybe
are great, by the way.
maybe it's because she
videos,
has breast and I don't. So
I still have to do my response to her T-shirt videos.
nice. Goku powers up for like 10 episodes. See, like Dragon Ball is great for the action when it's there, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Dragon Ball stuff, Trev. Some of the arcs don't age well, though. Andy Street. Oh, I don't know who this is. How do you guys feel about UFC and MMA in general? So welcome to the chat. If you've been in here before, or if you're even still here, I don't know if you're still here anymore, but I'm behind on the chat. But man, welcome to the stream. I appreciate it. How do I feel about UFC and MMA in general? I enjoy it. I don't watch it though, where like I buy pay-per-views and stuff like that. I'll go back and watch old fights. Like I enjoy it. Like I have no issue with the violence of it or whatever. Like especially I really enjoyed it once it became better regulated, and it was what it is today is far better than what it was back then. Like what it was back then was boring. What it is today, like I enjoy it. I am not one who, you have some people who do not like when it goes to the ground. Like I love that. I love like the struggle, the grappling, them trying to figure out, whatever. Some of those fights can be boring if they're on the ground and they're not doing anything, but I love when they're on the ground and like actively trying to get each other into a submission. I don't mind the standing up and exchanging blows where it's just a street fight in an octagon. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy it. I'm interested to see what the merger with this Endeavor and WWE merging. Like I'm not necessarily happy that WWE sold off. But I'm interested to see what happens. Like, are we going back to $50 pay-per-views and stuff like that? Because I know they're with Peacock for a few more years, but at some point, right, they're going to be trying to find ways to maximize profits and whatnot, or revenue. So, is the idea of the Peacock going away, having a whole library of content right there? Because if it does go away, there's going to be a lot of people upset that they did not buy all the DVDs that were coming out, because you can watch whatever right now. So I don't know.
I have a feeling it is going to go away. Peacock is going to go away because they're going to try to capitalize on any cash grab that they can get. Like they've even mentioned that who's that Khan guy that's working with Vince in WWE? Nick Khan? Is it Nick Khan? I know Tony Khan is AEW.
Yeah, it's Nick. It's Nick. Yeah.
Nick Khan's even said this, and I'm after he said this, I'm almost like, if they start doing this, I might stop watching altogether. I don't know. They're gonna start doing more brand promotion, more advertising on the ring, at ringside, like how it was during that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match.
Yeah.
All the advertising. Yeah. There's gonna be more of that. So that's gonna completely take me out of everything. Because I don't want to, like, it was cool with the Slim Jim and Halloween Havoc because that's the only time they did it. Is
right. But I mean, they were the sponsor of the show, so it's different than
right.
Hey, here's this commercial while a match plays on top of it. Hey, here's this commercial while another match plays on top of it. That's just kind of like what you're saying with the Pitch Black, Mountain Dew Pitch Black.
Yep, exactly. And then as far as UFC and MMA in general, like I enjoy it as well, and for some of the same reasons that you do. Like when they're on the ground and they're just not doing anything, it's boring. Right. I also don't like, and I've never paid for a UFC event. Only time I really watched was the Ken Shamrock days and when Brock Lesnar was fighting. I'd go to Applebee's or and watch Lesnar fights. But having to pay like $50 or $60, whatever they charge, and you don't know if a fight's going to last 30 seconds or 3 rounds or like whatever. So that seems like a waste of money, in my opinion, but it's based off of how you enjoy it, really. Also, the fans, because fans can be really particular and kind of hypocritical. Like, take Ronda Rousey. People loved Ronda Rousey until she started losing. When she lost, the fans turned on her. Like,
how do you feel about wrestling fans that are like that? Like, you remember when when Enzo Amore was the biggest act in wrestling when he came back after when he joined the main roster after 32, WrestleMania 32, and then they turned on him. Like, how do you feel about wrestling fans?
It's fans with Enzo Amore, and like they liked him because of his promos. You know, it's like once you actually see the wrestling, then that's where I think fans start doing the turn, because it
wasn't just because they crapped on him.
Yeah,
I think it was because he didn't live up to what they had in there. Okay, what about
NXT
Ronda?
is a different animal. You know, it's the small pond. They can do more once they get to the main roster, and a character is different than what they were. That's keep them. If they have success in NXT, they should stay success. They should have that same success on Raw and SmackDown. But
gotcha.
They change them too much.
22 says this. Cole had his newborn son as co-host in most of his videos. Oh, gotcha. Hold on. This is Ollie's little friend, Lucky, here. So we have gone from the lays around and sleeps all day to the it wants to play with everything phase. So if the candle randomly falls or shakes, you know what it is. You talked about them turning on Ronda in the UFC. That they've kind of turned on her in the WWE, haven't they?
They have, yeah. Because I'm not sure why I enjoy watching Ronda Rousey wrestle. I really do. Whether she's actually good or not, I like the presentation of her. She comes across as legit. You know, like that's why I like Matt Riddle too. Because Matt Riddle, if you watch a Matt Riddle match, he looks like he's in a fight. He looks like he's trying to win. He looks like he's getting his butt kicked, you know? So that's what I like to see when they're actually looking like they're trying to win. And Rousey is legit. But pushing her down the fans' throats, like constantly having her as like the champ when she was the champ, it was, I can see how the fans turned on her. But I enjoy her.
I think that's the thing. Whenever they try to push somebody down their throats, is when the fans turn. Like Roman. What was it? The 2014 Royal Rumble when Batista was going to win for sure, you know, and Roman was throwing everybody out. Okay, so they cheered for that because they didn't want to see what they knew was going to happen. And then obviously the Daniel Bryan situation, the crowd turned on him. And so the WWE is like, oh, Roman's our star now. Well, then they started forcing him down the throat, and everybody turned on him because he wasn't getting cheered at that time for that reason. He was getting cheered because they wanted anybody but Batista to win. But I think back to Cena too. Cena was jammed down our throats, and everybody turned on him. But I do miss going to shows and the back and forth banter between Let's Go Cena, Cena sucks. Like, man, that was so much fun. So much fun. I was a Cena hater, and I miss the guy now.
That was a good time. But I love how Roman's doing right now.
The tribal chief. I don't mind if he's champion for the next 30 years.
No,
because I like that people get upset about it. It kind of makes me laugh.
Yep.
I got into UFC because it's like Street Fighter and Baki and wow, I can't pronounce all those things in real life. Different fighting styles and cultures clashing. Yeah, you know, that is cool. That is cool because I mean, you've got your Japanese fighters, you got your Asian fighters, you got your Brazilian fighters. Just how big like the culture and their fighting styles are. And then you got your American fighters and stuff like that. So yeah, that is cool. I do miss when wrestling had. This is why I like AEW more. And I know you're not as big on AEW as I am, but I love AEW because there is so many different styles. Whereas in WWE, I feel like it's the WWE style and that's it. Like that's what NXT is. They teach you where you got to be for the camera. Like I don't like it as formulaic as it is. I miss the Raws when low production values. Yes. Maybe they didn't catch it. Like there was something unique about it, and like I don't know. Like maybe I romanticize that era, but I don't like it overproduced.
Right.
Which
I agree. Take away the LED lights.
Right.
Drop the house lights. Take away the big Titantron. And give me back that neon-looking entrance with the neon stuff around the side. Just that. And I would be perfectly happy. So.
Volunteer says he subs to Peacock for everything that's not current WWE. And yet he watched WrestleMania and even did a WrestleMania review. What's he talking about? I'd rather watch RVD versus Jerry Lynn and ECW a million times other than watching tonight's Raw episode. When Raw went to 3 hours, like, and I hate to be one of those guys that jumped on that bandwagon, but man, it was not the same. I don't understand the need to put the same guys on TV every week.
Right?
Like, you have to get your, like, and I'm speaking for like a year or two ago, but you had to get your Miz match, you had to get your New Day match, you had to get this match, this, like, you don't have to put all those guys on TV. They could just be in something on a skit, or they could just not be there that week. But that's the older fan in me saying that, because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Plus, stop having the same matches week after week. You know,
Wins and losses don't matter, David.
No.
Wins and losses don't matter. I hated when that was said out loud. I hate the attitude fans have. Now that we know it's all theater, the fans act like they can control the storylines, and that's the problem. Is that they let them know that, and they said that, oh well, the fans tell you what they like, and because fans heard that, they're like, well, we're cheering this guy. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? And they sent mixed messages. And see, the cat's messing with this now. They sent mixed messages to their fan base, and so then the fan base will, like, turn on them. So,
right? Yeah, it's
Andy
kind of
says-
like
Oh,
a
go ahead.
little
Sorry.
bit with the Marvel movies and stuff now. A lot of fans don't like the way that the direction is going, or say like name any Marvel movie, a fan will have a problem with it. But it's not because they're not doing what the fans want them to do. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same with WWE and pro wrestling. Now that the fans, like you said, they heard the fans decide, now they're going to be against anything if it's not what they want to see done. They don't control the pencil. They don't get paid to make the decisions. So just instead of complaining about every little thing that happens, enjoy the ride.
But then they also trained your fans to hate everything that corporate pushes to you, because corporate, the corporation was the enemy. What was Stephanie and Triple H's thing called recently when they were against Daniel Bryan? What were they? I can't even think of what.
I just remember them as the McMahon-Helmsley era.
Right. I'm trying to think of the latter iteration. Oh well, but but because it came from the company, now you're like, oh, we're supposed to boo this because they're the heels, right?
Yep.
Andy says, agreed. The boring fights are fighters that play too safe, use touch kicks to your legs to win decisions, or lay and pray wrestling where they don't go for subs or ground and pound. But realism is sometimes dull. Sports fandom all have similar phenomenons. The idea of fair weather fans bias exists. It's everywhere. I was former hardcore NBA, soccer, WWE, and current UFC fan. It's everywhere. You're not terribly big on real sports.
No, not
I just remember you
no.
mentioning that. I remember you mentioning the bottom tier said we may even cover real sports in his little commercial, and you were like, I love that you threw real sports in there. I do enjoy real sports because I love losing myself in it. It's when reality TV was at its peak, I would always tell everybody real sports is reality TV. But I also tell everybody when WWE or when wrestling is at its best, nothing is better. When it's at its best, nothing is better. And so my cousin and me will always message each other, and he repeats this text, and I think about it, and he says, what a time to be alive, because we have access to watch New Japan now. We have AEW before us. If I want to find Major League Wrestling, I can. Sometimes it becomes overkill, so you got to pace yourself with it. But I think the availability of all these other wrestling companies is why, I'm not as big a WWE fan anymore as I used to be. Mike says, seems like people are really fickle nowadays. 1 minute like this, next minute with hate, with very wishy-washy. Well, I think social media is kind of to blame for that because, this person likes it. Well, I'm a fan of this, so I've got to get on this train, and I got to jump on this bandwagon and jump on this bandwagon. Mike says, like a player 1 minute, make a bad shot, hate them. I watch a lot of people watching sports. I wonder if they realize what's on display as far as their character. Andy says,
I really like when I hate a character, like on screen, like in WWE, for example. but then I grow to like really enjoy them later on down the line. Like take John Bradshaw, Layfield, JBL. I hated him as Justin Hawk Bradshaw. I was like, okay, this is boring. This is a cowboy gimmick. I don't like this. So whatever. And then he went to the Acolytes. All right, this is cool. I enjoy this. This is fun. And then when he separated from Ron and went to JBL, that's when I was like, okay, this guy's gold. This dude is awesome. So when I hate a character but then go to love him, best.
That is true. And I think they finally figured this out with Roman. Like you put this character that they hate, let them hate him because they're gonna love him. The Rock became the biggest star in the world because people hated him, you know. JBL though, I was a fan of everything about JBL except for his in-ring work. Like I could not stand to watch a JBL match. There are very few JBL matches I enjoy. One of them being the JBL versus Fit Finlay match at WrestleMania 24, the Belfast Bash or whatever it was. Like that's JBL style, and he needs to be in a brawl, not in a wrestling match. And I don't know.
So good. I'm going to talk about JBL on one of my other videos, like a future video. So good.
The video when he was, the SmackDowns when he was feuding with Eddie Guerrero, right? And he's at the border chasing across the illegals that are crossing. Like, oh, what a hell of a heel, man!
Right?
I know I'm not supposed to laugh at that. The Brown in me is not supposed to laugh at that. Hilarious.
It was magic. It was magic when he had it. And then when that SmackDown when they were in Japan and he was feuding with Big Show and he got hit with the tranquilizer, you could put that up against any other wrestling show for most entertaining and it would win. Hands down.
Oh, man.
It's all because of JBL.
I gotta look that up again. I remember it, but I need to see that again. It's like the other day. Did I send you the video of Big Show jumping on the casket while Boss Man is dragging his dead papa? You'd miss your dead daddy. Like, oh, so terrible, but like, oh man, hilarious. Look back now. Andy says my all-time faves: Eddie Guerrero, HBK, Austin, Rock, Kurt Angle, Lesnar. Agreed about Cena. Looking back on him, he was like the opposite of anti-hero and anti-villain. He was my villain. Yeah. And so I'm trying to appreciate what I have when you have it, because Cena's gone now. And when he comes back now, it's not the same. Like he just like, he's not tanned. He's not in the best shape. His hair's not the same. Like, but such fun. The Elimination Chamber pay-per-view we went to in Corpus, we talked about it. Kevin Owens versus John Cena, one of the best matches I've ever seen live. Just fun, arguing with the other fans of the crowd that were cheering for Cena. And then, like Lady Prime said, she got to see kids cry when John Cena lost.
See, they brought all those kids from Make-A-Wish for WrestleMania, and they had Cena lose like right in front of them.
Oh, that's terrible. Lady Prime, the Authority. Thank you. That's what it was. They were called the Authority. Andy, I agree with that. As far as Marvel, but you know, you got to put some growing. So they're trying to reach out to everybody, but I don't know. Put it in where it's natural. Don't force it. And that's my whole thing is when you force something. If you want to add gay characters to something like that, don't force it, because you're not only are you insulting your core fan base, you're insulting them. But I get it. You know, they cheer that on, but I don't know. Like nothing beats organic. And Manny told me that my live streams were organic, and so like when he told me that, I was like, man, that's like a great compliment. Like in wrestling, Mark Merrow was supposed to be the guy. Mark Merrow was supposed to be the guy when he got there, and then they found out he wasn't what they saw. Mark Merrow was Johnny B. Bad, and if he could have been Johnny B. Bad in WWE, yes, they may have been able to make him into the top star. But Steve Austin, that was just organic. That didn't happen because he was forced to happen, all on accident. And so I think if you can do that the same way in the things that you want to push in the Marvel movies, if you can do it organically and just not force it upon people. And I think that's the same thing we were talking about with wrestlers. When they force it upon it, that's when the crowd turns. It's the same thing. Bottom tier says, why would you want to control the storyline as a fan anyways? I want drama. I want to feel like the finish is unclear. I want to believe it's real. That's what made me love the final 5 minutes of WrestleMania 7.
Exactly.
I went through this period where I had to read spoilers. Like I had to know what was going on. I had to know what was the next spoiler for this wrestling show and this wrestling show and this wrestling show. And I think back upon it now, like, yeah, I missed those days because it was fun. Like I really, really loved the product then. But I didn't get to enjoy the shows. Like I didn't get to be surprised the way I should have been surprised, like I was when I was a kid, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's all about the surprise. The surprise makes it much better.
Pro wrestling was my childhood favorite, only second to video games. Andy asked, how often do you guys do this streams? So I do. Yeah, Mike says it. I do a streams on Mondays. No, Mondays and Saturdays, Mike. Mondays and Saturdays. I do an early Saturday morning stream, but the Saturday morning stream is more with. I try to do it more comic based, but it's just a hangout anyways. My Monday stream was going to be more wrestling based, but it's a hangout, so whatever the chat takes it. So if you jump in on the chat and you've got wrestling things and like that, by all means, man, put it out. We'll talk about it. David, this is the first time he's been on screen with me. He's usually normally in the chat. But David, you're feel free to anytime you want to come on. Anybody, if you guys want to come on, just message me on Instagram. And if I know you well enough, like I'm just like somebody's just gonna watch and be like, I'm gonna go message this guy. If I know you, you know, I'll put you on. So you guys that are in the know, you know, let me know, because I gotta make sure you're not gonna come on my stream and just start cussing and like giving the channel a bad name. I've got to at least have some level of trust. But like Mike, bottom tier, you guys want to come on? Trev, you want to come on? Like, let me know. We'll figure it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Mike says Undertaker, Cena, The Rock, Undertaker, Cena, Rock, the Wolverine, the Viper, but all-time favorite was CM Punk. How do you feel about? Mike mentions the rabid Wolverine. How do you feel about? How do you feel about Benoit?
Oh, here we go.
Do you go back and watch Benoit matches? I guess that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not talking about what he did, the murder.
Right.
How do you feel about going back and watching? Like if you put on a pay-per-view and his match comes on, do you skip it? Do you include his matches in your top favorite matches of all time? You get what I'm saying? Like in that regard, how do you feel about Benoit?
I got 2 matches, and you're going to see this when I eventually do my all-time top 10 matches. 2 matches on there are Benoit matches. One is his match at Hog Wild. I think it's 98 against Dean Malenko. I love that match so much. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's so good. And the other one is my all-time favorite WCW match, which is his match with Bret Hart in the Owen Hart tribute match. So that match belongs on a top 10.
The when they were in the same arena, right?
Yeah, they were in the same arena.
Yeah,
there was no storyline. It was just a tribute to Owen, pure wrestling match. It was fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I remember turning Raw off to watch that match. My viewing schedule back then was to watch Raw live and then catch the replay of Nitro because it would replay later in the night. Should be going to school, sleeping and all that, but we had to get both shows in.
Yeah, and I have no problem.
But sometimes I throw a curveball and go live on Thursday. I believe that is more to tick him off than anything else. And what were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, it's okay. I have no problem like talking or watching Benoit because it happened. You know, he's a part of wrestling history. Like what he did, 100% like horrible. You know, and watching a Benoit match is not supporting what he did. It's not condoning what he did. It's watching wrestling history as far as I look at it. Plus all these things that people that have come out since that happened about his brain injuries, like the stuff Chris Nowinski has been talking about, how he had like dementia or the brain of like an 85-year-old man, something like stuff like that. If you go do the research, and you'll see exactly the studies that were done on his brain. There's a lot of
it doesn't excuse what he did, but it kind of gives you an insight into why it happened. Or
right. So we can't say 100% for certain what happened. If there were injuries that led to it and he never got help for them, like and again, this is not condoning what he did at all, but a lot of people talk about how mental health is like an important factor, as far as like you got to get your mental health checked to get this stuff, like all take care of yourself, all this stuff. But then when things go wrong and somebody that might have a mental health issue does something wrong, we completely shun them,
Yeah.
completely condemn them. And I don't think that that's a good thing to do. If there's something that led to that could have been avoided, it's 100% tragic. It is, but I don't fully believe in shunning, because there might have been something out of his control that caused him to do that. But
Gotcha.
we'll never know. We'll never know. So,
Well, and then one thing I always point out because I've had people say, "Well, we're talking about Benoit, whatever." I'm like, dude, if I completely avoid his past matches, that also discredits the guys he was in the ring with. Like Randy Orton's title, like when they talk about, because he was the youngest champion or the youngest world heavyweight champ, whatever it was, they'll always just show a picture of I've never mentioned who he defeated for it, nothing like that. And it's like that match doesn't exist, and there's a whole lot of content that these other guys put in amazing work, and we're supposed to just, so I watch Benoit matches. And then you got to separate it too, because I know wrestling blurs the line between fake and not fake, fake. It's telling a story. It's fiction, but it blends it with real life, right? But the Chris Benoit we see, if we go back and watch those old stuff, that's a character. You can still enjoy that character, not necessarily that person, what he did, because you can go back and watch a movie, and some of those movies that you watch or TV shows you watch, like The Shield. You go back and watch The Shield. I don't know if you know what show I'm talking about, but it used to be an FX series of Shield. Okay, there's a character on there, Julian. Well, in real life, that guy went and murdered his wife. And so like TV fans would go back and watch that show, or it shows on TV and it's not as big of a deal. But because wrestling blurs the lines between fiction and reality, a lot of people just have issues anytime you mention Benoit. But I've got some top 10 matches that are, top 25. I got to put it top 25. My 10 is kind of exclusive, but Benoit's, he's in there, because how could he not be? That whole best of 7 series with Booker T, that was like Booker T's coming out party. Like, man, like so good. Absolutely. And I didn't mean to laugh while you were talking about mental health. It's just I saw Trev's comment that Saturday morning streams are for nips.
He's right.
So I'm trying to like hit the stream while we talk, just because I don't want people to feel like I'm ignoring the chat. Just hit the bell. Bottom tier says, respect, David. So many people say Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio Jr. at Halloween Havoc 97 is the greatest match WCW ever had. What do you think about that match?
I love that match. I do, and I can see how it's a lot of people's favorite, or they say that it's the greatest WCW match ever. Because really, if you look back at WCW, there's only a handful of truly great matches that have withstood the test of time. Not like WWE. So many.
Is DDP versus Goldberg on that list?
In my opinion, no. There's not a Goldberg match that would be in a greatest match of all time.
For some reason, I when I think about like great title matches, for whatever reason, like I don't know, DDP did some work in that match, because that match is so memorable to me. Like he did some amazing things with Goldberg. I don't know why. What about DDP versus Savage? Any of those matches? Is that a top?
DDP versus Savage. I don't recall all of them off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've revisited them. But yeah, there has been some epic DDP Savage matches. Yes.
Lady Prime, being a huge Savage fan, it was on one of the DVDs, and I was watching it. I was like, man, like I forgot how great. Like they say WCW never created stars, but I think about DDP like that. That's a WCW star. In fact, him and Goldberg are like legit. They're obviously Sting, but you could say Sting was more NWA, Flair more NWA. But as far as WCW creating stars, Booker T, legit star, DDP, and Goldberg. So like I don't get the knock on it. I think the problem with WCW was they gave too much power to people that didn't need the power, and so it eventually led to too much chaos, and then you weren't going to stop the Stone Cold train. I don't think,
No, not at all. Not at all. You gotta take a look at like all these matches and like what are legit really great matches and which ones have just great moments. Because
Gotcha.
you can take that DDP and Goldberg match and okay, is it a really great match? Like, does it stand against like Goldberg versus Hogan? Does it stand against Goldberg versus Luger? You know, because those are really epic moments. So, is it a really good match or just a moment?
You have homework this week. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah,
if you want to be on, I don't know.
yeah, I'll be on.
Andy says Ruth. Well, we'll message on Instagram. We'll kind of figure where next week's show goes. Ruthless Aggression era is my favorite. 2 all-time favorite triple threats were Benoit, HBK, Triple H at WrestleMania 20, which that kick by Shawn Michaels, like if you're in the crowd, it's not as big of a surprise, but on TV, that super kick comes out of nowhere. And The Rock versus Taker versus Kurt. I believe that's No Mercy 2002, I think. Andy also says, separate the art from the artist. Benoit was great in the ring. Mike says he was really sick. It was horrible what happened, but I still go back and watch his matches. Right on, Mike. Andy says a lot of great inventors and artists in history did terrible things too. The good they did is not the same as the evil they did. That's a great point, and I didn't even think about it. Like, there's so many things that we learned from the Holocaust. Like, just putting that out there. What we learned, how we learned it was terrible, but they utilized that, and so many of the things that we know about, terrible.
Yeah.
I try to separate the artist from the wrestler. Hogan ruined so many careers, but I consider the Hogan trilogy, WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3, the most iconic title run of all time and important for the business. I can say maybe important for the business, but.
See, I want to touch on one thing really quick about Hogan, and it was remember that podcast that I told you, like, brought you to your attention to listen to the Creative?
Oh, I haven't listened to that one. I gotta check that one out. This is where they fantasy book the shows or something like that.
Yeah, like they just fantasy booked the start of an AEW versus WWE feud, and it's fun. It's really fun. Some great ideas. And there's something that one of the hosts always brings up when they talk about Hogan. There's a difference between like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and any champion after Hogan. Hogan is the only champion where fans paid to come and see him win. No other fans have paid to see a champion win other than Hogan. Like, are you going to pay to come and see Stone Cold Steve Austin defeat like somebody, or do you want to see him chase the championship? He's more fun and entertaining chasing than as champion. Hogan, he was most entertaining as champion. So it was an excellent point, and that's why he's one of the greatest champions of all time.
I think one of Hogan's problems is, though, he could never wrap his head around the idea of the chase, because I think they could have made that work too, but that doesn't work for me, brother,
Right.
But like you said, during that run there in that period, you were there to celebrate a win. So yeah. I see that. But like, as far as just later on in his career, like he had issues losing to the Warrior, but like in my head, I'm like if I was a wrestler, like I think about like in my head, like storytelling, like, okay, I'm going to lose this match, but we have the opportunity for the rematch. What do we do here? Where do we go from there? And that's a rematch that should not have happened in WCW. That should have happened WrestleMania 7 or SummerSlam, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and after WrestleMania 6, he went into that feud with Earthquake instead of getting a Warrior rematch.
I didn't. Well, I know you were a fan of that Earthquake feud. I know, because you're like the big guys.
Yeah.
Or were you not a fan of Earthquake?
I'm like I was the kid that sent in the card, the get well card.
Dude, it's so awesome that like, that the original plan for the main event for WrestleMania 7 was supposed to be Tugboat versus Hogan.
That would not have worked.
I don't know that they were going to call him Tugboat, but Pritchard was talking about this. That's what, because anytime someone's a friend of in wrestling, the turn is going to happen, and that is initially where that storyline was gonna happen. He was going to turn on Hogan, and that was going to be the main event. I think they even had plans that Tugboat was going to be the Iraqi sympathizer. Cut to Sergeant Slaughter comes back. It's like magic. It's perfect. Real American hero turning heel. So yeah.
Yep, it would not have worked without anybody but Slaughter.
Andy says, cool. I subbed to your channel. Small streams are cool. Not big on comics much, but I respect the passion and similarities to video games, wrestling. He put wrestling. I love that. Sports fandoms that I'm a part of. I wrestling fans to comics. Like I can see why it's harder to bring a wrestling fan to comics, but like comics to wrestling, I think is like a natural thing. Like wrestling is comics brought to life, I think, especially the cartoony style with like, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, powering up and stuff like that. Like, I just think that they're linked, but I can see why it's harder to bring someone from wrestling to comics because it's always hard to bring people from the outside into comics. I always would lend like any girl I dated or like even Lady Prime at the time, like I'm like, hey, you should read the storyline. It's really good. Well, I don't understand how to read a comic. It's like, you've got to like teach them how to read it. Yeah, it follows like this sometimes, but then sometimes it's not here. And so, but I think it's natural to be a comic book fan and then to go into wrestling. I think that's just a natural fit.
And it should be just as natural the other way too, because you've got these storylines that happen on wrestling TV that can also happen in the comic books. Like take Fatal Attractions, and you got Colossus joining the Acolytes. There's a perfect example of a well done
a heel turn
right there. So fantastic, You got Nightfall. Batman's running a gauntlet match.
Oh, good point.
It should be just as easy the other way.
Andy says Benoit versus Angle are some of the best matches I've seen. Mike says Goldberg versus Bret Hart. The angle where Bret Hart put the steel plate in his chest when he got speared and it knocked Goldberg out, like I thought that was just an amazing moment. Trev says Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Was that WrestleMania 25? Yes, sir, it was, and I was there. I was on the floor for that match.
I was at 26, just like you were. Sean's.
That's right.
We don't count Saudi Arabia. So
26 is because of that match. We're having a rematch. We signed up to go to that match. The second that Shawn attacked Undertaker in the Elimination Chamber, I was like, we're going to Phoenix.
Yep. So I didn't realize it till later. Like I was at WrestleMania 26, which was Shawn's official last match, but I was also at the Raw before WrestleMania 14, which is Shawn's final Raw before he went on that 4-year hiatus.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, kind of like a little. I was like, all right, that's a good little thing.
I have a few Raws I've been to which don't have memorable moments. Like I went to a Raw in summer of 2004. There's nothing I can tell you about that Raw that sets it apart. But I went to the Raw where Dude Love made his first appearance. Yep, I went to the Raw where Daniel Bryan gets beat down by Triple H before WrestleMania 30. So like I like having a Raw where you can name something that happened and people remember it. The Raw I went to in summer 2004, the only thing I can tell you that happened is that Triple H and William Regal was supposed to have a match, but Triple H jumped William Regal before the start of the show, and there were not fireworks to start that Raw.
We'll have to do that show where we compare like what events we went to and what happened. I think cool.
We got Nash, Sting, and DDP coming to town in September. That's 22 says that. Bottom tier says, Trev, I recently came across a greatest match of all time video, and that HBK Undertaker WrestleMania 25 match was thrown into it. Yes, bottom tier. Check it out. Being in the crowd for that match, I don't know if I had just seen it on TV how I would think about it differently, because I used to think Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels was the greatest match I'd ever seen at WrestleMania 21. And does this one beat that one because I was in the crowd for it? Because everybody says it was that? I don't know. But I can tell you that was like top 10 like live experiences for me. Bottom tier says, if Garth or to 22, he says, if Garth Ennis, one of my GOAT riders, wasn't going to be in Memphis that weekend, I'd be at the Alabama Comic Con. Bottom tier says he should have chased in 88, but he had the right. He should have chased in 1988, but he had to be right next to the belt at all times, forming the Mega Powers. Yeah.
Yep.
But how much was that him playing political games, and how much of that was it's just what you needed to do for TV? I do think it's awesome that they would talk about that Savage drew just as much and sometimes drew bigger towns than Hogan did during that time period where they ran 2 shows both nights and Savage main evented one, Hogan main evented one. Because there was some discussion of keeping the title on Savage after WrestleMania 5. That blows my mind. I didn't know Savage was that huge at the time.
Yeah, he was big. Imagine if they did that, though. You would probably have Savage versus Hogan again at 6 instead of Hogan versus Warrior. So,
I don't know, man. Wow. I would have been down for that. Like, looking back, like, I just have a greater appreciation for Savage because I went through a time period where I was not a Randy Savage fan. Just I didn't like his stuff around 94, 93. He was mainly a Raw commentator, and he would wrestle, and I felt like it was same old, same old. Then Lady Prime being a huge Savage fan and going back and watching his catalog and watching just all his past matches, going back to stuff I didn't even know about. Like, I do just my appreciation, like. What it was me, you, and Bottom Tier messaging on Instagram one day talking about the Mount Rushmore, but if you couldn't include certain people,
Yep.
and I was like, yeah, Savage is on that list. Then, like, I couldn't believe Savage wasn't one of the names excluded.
Right? Yeah, they should. Yeah, Savage is always going to be an all-time great.
22 says he's not going to be, or he didn't know that was that the same thing. He's probably working Comically Comics podcast. Should have a booth there. Oh, I did see that you do that. 22, that's awesome that you do a booth there. That's what a genius thing to do. Andy says, basically, when judging any person or thing, you don't just completely dismiss any positives they had just because there were negatives about them. Durs was here or is in the chat at work, but swinging by to quick say hello to my beautiful homies. All right, awesome.
Durs, how's it going, man?
Bottom Tier says, look up Omega Bam Man. DC created a galactic heavyweight champion recently. Oh, you talked about that. You did a review on that issue, right?
Yeah, I've got it like right here in a pile, like right behind me. It's a fun issue. I hope they go back to that. But Omega Bam Man is super cool. Kind of like a cross between Hogan and Bruno Sammartino a little bit. So, but it was great, and like, I don't know how to discuss this without spoiling for those who read that.
I got to check out that issue. I remember you talking about it, and I forgot about it. So now I need to go look that up on eBay. And Mike says that's what he was referencing. The Goldberg spear went wrong. One of my all-time favorite moments. And he says, I still know some info on comics, though, just because of all the movies, shows, and video games and YouTube vids I see on the lore and universes. He says, what luchador mask is that? That is a Bane mask from the comics.
Yeah. Yep. It's Bane.
Bottom Tier thinks Macho King sucks, but I disagree.
Macho King was great.
Oh, did I catch up on the chat? Oh, man alive, guys.
Nice.
Maybe the chat just stopped chatting because he's not clicking the messages. But I've got 10 sticking around, so hopefully this was a relatively entertaining stream. Durs, rock on, man. It's good seeing you here. Andy, appreciate you being here, man. Thanks for the sub. Yeah. I would sub up David as well. Appreciate you being here. I love seeing new names in the chat. 22, maybe I'll throw next week's show on Thursday just to upset you. No, I'm just kidding. Mike's been hanging out a lot lately. Mike, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you hanging out on the most recent streams, man.
I thought I saw Neil in here earlier, too.
I saw him post one comment. I didn't see him message a whole lot, so I hope he doesn't feel like I ignored him. It wasn't intentional, but I did see where he said he was jumping into Walgreens, so
okay.
I'd have to message Neil. Fantastic. Well, I hate to end the stream because it was awesome. You're going to be on next week or what? I mean, if you can, obviously.
Next week. I can be on next
week. Say that again?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right. Well, let's let's figure out something. Obviously, we'll still include the chat. Like, the chat will dictate stuff, but let's have something we want to kind of discuss. Whether maybe it's that Goldberg match, like, because I think it's great. You watch it. Was it great or was it just good moments? But yeah, we'll figure out something to discuss. Bottom Tier says behind the scenes issues is why it's hard for me to watch Macho King. Oh, he's Team Elizabeth. That's right.
Oh, I'm Team Elizabeth too, but I don't know. I was messaging him on his comments in this comment section about WrestleMania 7, and one thing I mentioned to him is that why I don't like discussing or even focusing on backstage stuff.
Knowing what's going on in the back, right? Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, takes me completely out of it.
Yeah. I heard that Savage was so into that feud or so into that storyline that he got a legal separation from Elizabeth. They were still married, but legally they were separated. And that's because if anybody looked it up, he did not want them to know that they were still married. That's how committed he was to that story. That's like insane.
That is crazy. If he went to those levels, that's almost like genius level type of kayfabe.
Yes, yes.
So.
All right, one last thought before we go. What are your thoughts on the Genius, his brother? Savage's brother.
I never really paid much attention to him because the Genius that I knew was a manager with Mr. Perfect and everything. That's when I first saw the Genius. So I haven't really watched a lot of Genius matches. So
I posted a video on my comment section, the Genius versus Hulk Hogan. I will recommend that match to anybody. Like, it's hilarious, but it's like genius at the same time. So
I'm going to watch that match. I'm going to watch that match and the DDP Goldberg match.
All right, so, yeah, do that because the you got to realize the Genius character is like, I don't want to say he's fruity, but like clearly like he's like portrayed as fruity, like, or he's portrayed as not manly. He's more brains than brawn, and
right.
How they put that match together is just like, it's one of my favorite Hulk Hogan matches of all time, like top 10 Hulk Hogan match for sure. So yeah, go to my comment section. You can it should still be. I don't think I took it down, so it should still be linked there.
Okay.
That, or you can probably type in Genius versus, but it's from a Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main events back then during the 90s, late 80s, some of the best crowds I've ever seen. Like, to go back to those shows, great crowds.
Yeah, that was must-watch TV back then.
Yes, for sure. Oh, Bottom Tier says, loved having you on, David.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Bottom Tier, let's go, man, when you're ready to go. Because, like I said, for sure, I want to get you on here, Bottom Tier, when you finish your WrestleMania, your 10 WrestleMania series, because I not your 10 WrestleMania, your WrestleMania series covering 1 through 10, because I have questions that I want to discuss, and I have debates I want to have, especially about WrestleMania 7. I have not been happy with his review of WrestleMania 7. Very angry.
One match of WrestleMania 7. He forgot one match, and I brought it up in the chat. The Boss Man, Mr. Perfect match. He did
That's
not.
Right. That's right. I remember you saying that. That's right. I did see that. So, what a travesty of justice! This Mr. Perfect in the midst of his great Intercontinental title reign. Boss Man, you could.
But the feud with Bobby Heenan and Boss Man over Boss Man's mom. Come on.
Yes. And he went through the whole Heenan family.
Yep.
But yeah. So like, I want to have him live because, like I said, I want to discuss certain things, and like it's been fun seeing him go through this because he's going through with new eyes. And so I've seen those WrestleManias, and like I talked about like 1 and 2, not my favorite WrestleManias, but then he talks about certain things that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. And so when Lady Prime was playing WrestleManias, I was like, oh, you know what? I appreciate this show more. Maybe I still don't like it, and I still don't think it's a top WrestleMania, but for sure, because of going through Bottom Tier's experience, like I see it differently, and I enjoyed it differently. So.
Yep.
Well, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream because my phone is at 9% battery. But David, I appreciate you coming on. This is a lot more fun when I have somebody on that I can converse with. It's a lot easier to run the stream. The chat, I hope you guys don't feel like I was ignoring you. I tried to put your comments up. But you got to remember, I don't have the laptop, so it's harder to do. But thank you guys, man. It was awesome having everybody here today. Once again, Mondays, more wrestling based, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a wrestling stream. You guys talk about whatever. You guys can talk about your comics. One thing I forgot to tell you guys is to post whatever videos you have coming up. But next week, don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to do that in my Saturday stream, the Monday stream for sure. Go ahead and do that. Yeah. But David, thanks, man. It was awesome having you here. Awesome to be able to just converse. Talking face to face versus the reading the chat. So you got anything to say before we go out?
I just got a couple things. Wednesday, I'm gonna do a tournament to determine who's gonna face you for your DCW championship, and then Saturday I'm gonna do another live stream between 4 and 4:50 a.m. Arizona time, which is 7 to 7:50 Eastern time. So anybody wants to join in, just message me on Instagram or whatever. So
fantastic. Man, it's awesome having you here. Chat, awesome being here. You guys are great. We toned down the Nips chat today, but we did talk about wet balls, so a backsplash. Ooh, look at the NWO. And there it is. With that.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. Awesome. Yeah, no problem. All right, man. 22. Good. Glad everybody came out, man. It's fantastic. Always have fun with you guys. Appreciate it. And I'm going to let Ollie say goodbye.
Video. Say thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Bye.
Say.
Bye. See you next time.
Oh, I love that video. All right, guys, we're out. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.